Stress, baby! Oh, hell yeah! Well, here's how it works. You ask, and we answer. What is your question around reducing stress, increasing productivity, or leading effectively without sacrificing joy in your life? You can submit your question at mintgreen.show. Without further ado, let's get it. And in the blue corner, she is a former tech exec of 15 years, a stand-up comedian, a comic improviser, an author, and a humorous and interactive keynote speaker. And she is transforming professionals, companies, and leaders into playful, braver speakers, big idea storytellers, and change makers through humor and improv insights. Kathy Klotz-Guest!
And in the red corner, she's a certified mindset specialist, a productivity and leadership coach. She facilitates wellness through comedy and play for your team. And she's your host for the show, Geneviève Pépin.
Woo!
Yeah.
We made it. We made it. Kathy, so excited. First of all, yes. Some dancing is always the right way to start anything, but especially the Men Green Ukulele podcast. Thank you so much for being on. How are you?
Yes, thank you for having me. I love talking to you and I love what you do and I love it. And I wish I could play the ukulele like you do, but that's okay. I could just probably just hold it and fake it.
Yeah, you can air ukulele. You know, just
Air
like some people so air guitar like over the rainbow type of thing. Yeah.
I'm
You could do
shredding
that.
on my little mini axe.
That sounds like a great competition. A great game of like, let's just air ukulele this. All right. Kathy, I'm so excited about the conversation we're gonna have today. Leadership through humor. What you do, I think, is, I mean, first of all, I studied comedy. Like, I learned comedy from you in one of your courses, and you taught me very interesting principles about humor and about being how to communicate that. And I'm really looking forward to go deeper into that. But before, let's do some rapid fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to ask you for 4 numbers. 2 of those numbers will be from number 1 to 15, and 2 of those numbers will be from number 16 to 50. And I'm going to ask you corresponding questions. What are your 4 numbers?
2, 8, 17, 40.
All right. Question number 2. Tell us one of the most life-changing moments of your life so far.
Oh, gosh. One of the most life-changing moments was, I think for me, like, you haven't lived till you've had a good bathroom breakdown. Like in tech, I just went into the women's bathroom because that's the only place that women could go and cry. Like you cry in your car, under your desk, in the bathroom. And I remember going, oh my God, I hate it so much here. And why am I listening to other people telling me not to use my humor? And I just remember in that bathroom moment, like looking down, and I had this like, when I made this vow to reclaim my soul, it's like, I'm going to be me. I can't help but be me. I look down and there's like this 6-foot, 7-foot trail of toilet paper stuck to my high heel. And I'm laughing and crying and mascara is flying everywhere. And I'm like, that's the sign I needed. It's the toilet paper. Like there's no dignity in that moment. It's like, but that's the universe going, just don't take everything so seriously. That's the sign.
Yeah. I think that could be called the toilet paper theory. Like, I think that's, yeah, there's a script in there. That is a great story and a great way of the universe to remind you of not taking yourself seriously. I love that. I love that. 8. Oh, well, okay. It's similar, but I think it could be it's interesting to dig deeper. What was one before and after in your life?
I'm sorry, what was one story before?
No, what was one like before that I was like this, and after I was like that, like one before and after?
I would say before I had always brought my humor into the workplace, but at one moment I was told by men and women, don't do that. Nobody will take you seriously. You will. Plus, I think one of the things that it doesn't help. I think we all get that message, but women especially get that message. Nobody will take you seriously if you are funny. And I was like, oh, okay. So before I was like bubbly, then that happened. And then I sort of fragmented myself. I was like, serious Kathy, blah, blah. But then at comedy at night, I was like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I was me. I was fully me. But then you step into the building, at work, and then all of a sudden it was like, you were like, Superman. You'd like, all of a sudden it was like, you change, and it's like, whoop, got to put the corporate suit on, whoop. And it was like, assume the position. And that was so weird for me before that sort of toilet paper theory moment. And then I think after, I sort of made peace with the fact that not everybody was going to like it, but I was going to like it. And the beauty of that moment was like, I was more effective for myself and for people around me that worked for me. I was so much more available and effective. And I think in that moment, we just own who we are. Not everybody will like it, and that's what scares people. But the people you're for, you will be for, and you will be so much more effective as a version of yourself, the best version of yourself. And that's really, I think, the thing that matters.
Yeah. I'm just so curious to hear about. Do you know if people really saw a 180 from the outside, or was it the shift more internal?
I think it was more internal, because the people who knew me before I was told to rein it in were like, you used to be so much fun. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And they noticed it. And I realized the painful thing, they were right. But I also realized that when you're young, I was in my 20s, female, you're fitting into this male dominated space, and you're told to compartmentalize yourself, and you want to fit in. And when you're in your 20s, you're like, okay. And so you give a piece of your place away. And what was really fascinating was, you're right. I think it was both. I think they noticed the shift, but I think it's because they were right. And I noticed it. And there was this unhappiness, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then when other people were like, yeah, you're back to who you were before, the world told you not to. And then I went, okay, I'm on the right path, because people, they knew something had changed and they didn't know why. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And did it lead to actual conversation of people saying like in a negative way?
Yes, in some ways. I don't know if I lost you. Oh no, did I lose
you? Did you lose me?
No, I don't think I did. It's just, that's so weird. All of a sudden it logged me out, and I was like, what happened? No, we're here.
No, I see you. I'm still here. Good. Are you still here?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah. I'm here.
Okay, good.
I'm here. It's just something happened with my computer. It's keeping us on our toes. Yeah, it's interesting. I think some people just didn't like it, because they were like, women especially, who were told like, don't bring your humor to work, were like, I think you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. And I got judged, but I was being judged before. And I thought, I'm going to be judged no matter what I do. So who cares? And I realized that I was letting other people, I was outsourcing my voice and letting them decide.
Yeah.
What was I letting them decide? So I made a decision. And yes, some people vocally did not like it, but I can't tell you how many people were like, you're so much more effective. And I knew I was on the right path because I was happier. I didn't feel fragmented. So it didn't matter what they said. I didn't feel so like, oh my God, I have to compartmentalize every part of my life. So,
Yeah. I love that you said, I'm going to be judged anyway. So it sounds like you're just choosing what you're going to get judged on. Like, they're going to judge me no matter what. So I'm just going to choose for them to judge me on that. That's it.
You're going to judge me no matter what I do. Exactly. Yeah. And I think when you finally accept that, you've got to live with yourself. It doesn't matter what other people think, because you live with yourself 24/7. They see you 8 hours a day, but you live 24/7 with yourself. Yeah. You have to finally just do what's right for you. And and in the heart, here's the tough love part, is I wish I could tell people everybody will love you. I'm sorry. That's just not a fantasy or a fairy tale that I think is true that can happen. I wish it could. I really wish it could. But what matters is that you like yourself and you're effective for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's why I asked about the internal shift, because I think that sometimes we're just so concerned about holding an image that we become ineffective because it's so much work. It's a lot of resources to like of thoughts and feelings and like just like physical energy to kind of hold up that with all those masks. And then and it's actually like, hold on, like what is the price that I'm paying? Because actually I'm a lot more effective when I don't pay. Like it's another price, as you say. Some people will be unhappy and so on, but some of them will be unhappy anyway. So it's another price to pay, but you know, the benefit is greater.
100%, 100%. And you know you're doing the right thing when you feel so in alignment with who you really are. And like you said, the weight of propping up these masks. I mean, how much energy are we giving to like presenting versions of ourselves that serve nobody? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an illusion that it serves somebody. That's the thing, I think.
100%.
I think people don't care as much as we think also. That's
They
another, I mean, that's a
don't.
realization of mine. They don't care as
You're
much.
100% right. 100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Moving to the next question, because I know that we could go deep. Okay, what dish do you cook best? Because this is completely aligned with the conversation.
Okay. Okay. I love to bake, but I'm going to say non-baked goods items. I like a good risotto, and I am good at cooking risotto. Hell
Oh yeah?
yes. Yeah.
What is the secret that you're
Okay.
willing to share?
Okay. The secret is you got to use enough olive oil. And then
Oh,
okay, here's the big secret. Use a mix of different cheeses if you're gonna use it. You got to make sure you use a mix of different cheeses
yeah.
and Parmesan. You got to have enough Parmesan, but make
Okay.
sure you don't skip on the olive oil. I don't know why, but it's a texture thing, and it's
Yeah.
yes, delicious, delicious.
So do you also use butter? Do you mix butter and olive oil, or your fat is olive oil?
I really prefer the healthy fat, so I'm going to go with the olive
Yeah.
oil over the
Okay. Yeah.
butter. Yeah, but you can't
Yeah,
skip
yeah,
on
yeah.
it. You can't skip on the
No, no, no,
olive.
no. I mean, no, that's part of it. I remember the first time I understood how risotto was made, it was at a risotto bar in a party in Shanghai in a hotel. And I was like, oh, risotto is rice. And then I saw how much butter they were putting into it. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize like, so when you say I'm going for the healthy fat, I'm like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but yeah, you got to have it in there. But I do like the butter. That's why
Oh
I don't
yeah,
like
for
to
sure.
know how the sausage is made sometimes, because then it's like I don't want to know. Just give me the
Yeah.
deliciousness.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's better not know. But when you see it like made in front of you, it's another thing. All right.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that tip. All right. A
Mm.
last rapid fire question is well, I know you have many of them, but I want a hidden one. What is your hidden talent?
Oh gosh. My hidden talent. Oh man. I guess it depends on who you ask.
Oh,
I know random stupid stuff, so probably trivia. Like I don't know, I don't know how useful it is to anyone at all, like zero. But I know random stupid stuff, which means, and my husband will confirm, I remember dumb stuff, and I'll like it's like you can't do stuff to me and then I don't remember it. So the good and the bad and the ugly comes with that.
give me an example of dumb stuff you remember or stupid stuff. What is stupid stuff?
Stupid stuff. Oh my god. I remember like I just remember like random stuff about like for example like statistics, like regression analysis and like, line of best fit. Like I'll just be reading randomly a study and I'll be like, I bet that was that regression coefficient was like, it was probably a 0.8 or above. I bet it was very high. I don't know why I remember dumb stuff like this. I was going to say shit. I was dumb shit, but I do. And it's like I'll like in the most weird way, I'll just be like to my husband, yeah, I bet that was a high correlated coefficient. And my husband will just look at me like, was that important? I don't know why.
I love it that you remembering statistics and like stuff like that. You call it stupid shit.
Stupid.
Because I don't think it's stupid. I mean, it's random, but
It's
stupid.
random. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by
You know
stupid
that.
shit.
Yeah.
I should qualify. It's like random. Like in
Yeah.
no way, shape, or form does it help the conversation, but I just randomly remember it.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. Well, good to know. Good to know. I look forward to I look forward to hearing more of that in the conversation. Let's see. Let's see
Yeah.
if we can bring some in the conversation. All right, Kathy, I'm ready to move to the first question from FAQ. Let's do it. Let's do this one. Are we back? Okay, good. So, well, look, we talked already about, it's funny because you mentioned credibility, and in the beginning of, people won't take you seriously. You won't have credibility if you're humorous. I think that we're like, let alone the humor, like it's just difficult. People ask all the time, like, how can I build my credibility? And so, so I can definitely understand that, like when we talk about humor, that's the first thing that people think of. So question number one is, how can I bring humor in my communication without losing credibility?
Yeah.
And I know that that comes up all the time.
Yeah, it's a question that does come up all the time, and I think there are people that, are really wrapped up around that, and I get it, and I think the biggest thing I want people to understand is that, if we're so busy trying to be credible, we don't build relatability, and the key to being credible is relatable. So we are sacrificing, we're trying to do an end run around, like on a football field. Here's my awkward football metaphor. Like we're trying to do an end run around the team and just, get to the goalpost, but we have to hit other things first to get to the goalpost. And you can't get to credibility without being relatable. And sometimes I see this a lot where it's like, I worked so hard. I was so serious. I did everything right. I built my authority. Yes, you did. And along the way, you forgot to show up human. You forgot to show up accessible. You forgot to show up as the person that people trust to let their hair down and their mask down. So they respect your authority, but they don't connect with you. So I want to make sure that we don't sacrifice the relatable part to get to credibility. We can't. So I would say it's okay to establish some credibility, but make sure it's a balance. And what we have in leadership is we have competence and we have warmth. And competence, we need to be competent. But if we're so busy trying to prove that we know our stuff, we're not showing the warmth and the emotional intelligence. And humor is emotional intelligence. So make sure it's both. Make sure it's both. Obviously, it's timing is everything. I mean, you wouldn't go into a layoff situation. Hey, you know what's funny?
You know what's funny about what's happening right now?
Right. Yeah. I know, Bob and Nancy, you said you wanted more time with the kids. Well, congratulations. You get that today. Yeah, like you wouldn't do that, right? So it's timing, it matters, and how you do it matters. But I think if we're dropping that, we won't be credible at all. So the balance is make sure along the way that you show that you're relatable and that people can let their guard down with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, there's so many things I wanna like yes and from what you said. First of all, the competent, like how do you show you're competent? You don't tell people you're competent, you show you're competent. So funny is more of an, how you show up is an energy compared to actually, the quality of your work. Like it's not the same. And I want to say that you talk about relatability, and one thing that I learned with you, and that was a huge aha moment, is how much comedy, like humor, is about truth.
Yes.
Right. And being true, and talking about big truth, but also how you show up, and I remember one time we were workshopping some jokes, and I was talking about the audience, and you told me, well, I want, like, talk about yourself first, like talk about you and show up as you, and then after that you can tell people like how that shows up for them. And I thought that was very interesting, because again, that shows like I'm here and I live this, and I guess that you live this too. And that was a way for me that, again, like there was relatability in the, I mean, that was a stand-up routine. It was, I know that this is not a leadership presentation, but still that was a way that it showed up for me. So can you speak a little bit more about that, about the truth and relatability in terms of, like, especially in the leadership context?
It's true. Absolutely. If we're so hung up on being funny, first of all, no leader is going to fail because they're not funny, and funny and humor are different. Funny comes when we aren't trying so hard, but we're just showing up honestly. It's humor comes from truth, and it comes from pain, joy. It comes from truth. And one of the things that the biggest mistakes I think that sometimes people who try too hard, and I think being funny, you don't want to try so hard. Start with yourself. Start showing up more truthfully. If something scares you or makes you nervous, admit it. You know, you don't have to like, share everything. You don't have to overshare and be super vulnerable, but show little bits of your truth so people can go, I can relate. They're sharing something. Too often with humor, if we're making it all about other people, we don't know other people's experiences. And why would I even go, yeah, okay, you're making it about me, but you've not said anything about yourself. And I think for us to get that reciprocal energy back, we do need to show up a little bit and sort of be more open and honest and show up every day. So it's not even just like, how can I be funny? It's how can I just be honest about it? I mean, the most honest thing you can do is if you feel awkward about a conversation is to say, I feel awkward. This is an awkward conversation. Like, I know we both want to run out of the room screaming. Can I get you some coffee first? Just acknowledge it. That right there will go a long way towards putting the other person at ease and allow them to go, woo, I feel it too.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that you said that. And this is such a simple frame of mind to think of as well, right? Like it's just, again, what am I experiencing and how can I share that?
Yeah.
It's funny. You said funny and humor are not the same thing. What if I'm not funny? What if I try to be funny and I'm not funny? What happens with that? I know that you hear that a lot. And of course,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not
Yeah.
a stand-up comedian,
Right.
so how can I be funny?
I think, first of all, I get that a lot. And it is really, I think what we really want is connection. I think it isn't that we want to be funny. We want funny because we want to desperately to connect. So the question really you should be asking is, how can I better connect? And the way that we do that is to get out of our head and trying to be funny. Don't force it. Like, don't force funny so hard that you end up alienating or trying so hard. Let go. Get out of that mindset. And part of the reason why people say I'm not funny is because I think they're holding this really high standard for themselves. They're comparing themselves to comedians, and that's not your job. So get that out of your head. Show up more playful, more truthful, a version of yourself that's accessible and warm and relatable. And honestly, you will be funnier just by telling the truth, just by saying the truth.
Yeah.
And I think just stop overthinking it. And please, please, please do not compare yourself to anybody else, because everybody's different. Everybody's different. Don't hurt yourself that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, right? Like, oh, I
Mhm.
wish I said that. Or,
Yeah.
comparing ourselves, of course. That's something I think we grow into, and we
Yeah.
get to learn it as we count the wins and we progress towards how we want to show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um damn, you said something I wanted to yes and forgot. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm
No,
just this is just me being
let's
honest.
let's sit here and just, yeah. Getting out of your
Yeah,
own way. I think
yeah.
it's something you do really, really well. You do it so beautifully naturally. You get out of your head and out of your own way, and you just have fun, and you show up and you sing and you bring your energy that's really honestly you. And when you lead from that place of just playfulness of being you, that's really infectious. There's no fake. It's just you allowing yourself to have fun and get out of your head and get out of your own way, and you're not forcing it. And that's, I think, when you show up with a really, like, nobody else can do that. If you're just being playful and having fun, nobody else can do that the way you do, you know?
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because when we think about playful,
Hmm.
there's so many ways of being playful. It's
Yeah.
not, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a specific way. Some people will just,
Mhm.
do some rhymes, or some people will actually bring out Legos, or some people will actually crack a joke. Like, there's so many things, and I don't think that there's a set definition of like step 1, 2, 3, like it's really about what does that look like for you, and as you say, being authentic. I think also that, again, as you say, not everybody will connect with
Mhm.
your energy, but, and that is a but, one T, is that when you're authentic, you give permission for people to be authentic as well. So that's in leadership, that's very big, because our energy does influence other people, and therefore the way we show up, it has a direct influence, and we just give that permission to show up as they are.
I think that's, you hit on the head. And I think the thing with funny is we're trying so hard to like me. And I think if we just let go of that and start to think about how can I be useful to and connect, how can I be useful to the audience? It completely frees you up, because then you're not like, I got to tell jokes and I got to be on the mic and I'm going to rock your world with, oh, I'm going to be so funny. Woo! Hey, y'all doing? I know this. I call this all hands. No, it's like, how are you showing up for your people? We've all got that guy. Yeah, we've all got that guy or gal. And usually, I'm sorry, 80% of the time is a guy. But you know, the guy that shows up and I mean, hey, everybody, I'm here to rock your world on the mic. I am your DJ for a day, Mike Jones, and I'm going to spin some jokes. Wicka, wicka, wicka. And you're like, can we just get on with the meeting? What is he doing? Like, stop it. And you're just like, nobody came to see you be to a comedy show. They want to relate to you. And I think that's where it's, you got to drop trying so hard. Comedy, you're trying to be funny, but when you're a leader, your job is to connect, and being funny doesn't help you if you're not connecting. So if you're trying to be funny at the expense of that underlying connection, I'm sorry to say, comedy stage, do it. Business stage, connection.
Yeah. You know? Oh, that's so powerful what you just said. If you try to be funny at the expense of that connection,
oh, it's painful.
Just looking at the wrong place.
Looking for love and validation in all the wrong places. And that is not it.
Yeah.
That is not it. Save it for the weekend, Bob.
And even then. Oh, Bob. Oh, Bobby boy. All right. Well, you know what? I think that I'd love to go to the other, like kind of the other not extreme, but the other end of the spectrum. And that's when I will go to the question number 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So question number 2 is actually, look, I want to be my team's friend. I'm their, I'm their leader. So what is appropriate for vulnerability? Do I need to share what Mexican food did to me this weekend? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't lead with it. If it comes up organically, that's a choice you can make. I don't know. That's kind of, that's such a really powerful question, because you don't owe your team versions of yourself, and oversharing without credibility is awkward and probably not the right thing to do. I think it's the big things. I think start little. It starts with little things and then things that matter. So, it might even just be like, if your team is talking about, going back to the office, have the honest conversation about, I hate it. If you hate it, let down your hair and be real with your team. Yeah, it's not fun and I don't like it. And we're going to see what we can do. And you're right. And it sucks. And just, I think there are things where sharing how you feel and being a little bit vulnerable matters, because the thing matters to your team. And it's hearing them out. And I think little shares, I mean, obviously, if you're new to your team and they don't know you well, you might want to save your big revelatory stuff for another time till you have enough credibility, right? You don't want to drop a bomb and go, well, my wife left me and my dog hates me. And, and that's horrible. But your team doesn't know how to process that. That's like, they're not there to be your collective therapists. They're, and I think we just have to respect that. Just be clued into how the team's feeling. If the team is nervous about something, talk about it. Talk about what the team cares about. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yes, exactly. I love what you mentioned in terms of the context, right? Especially like in one-on-ones, like especially with the pandemic, but I think that it's a general theme of being able to build a trust with the team, so that you know what's going on for, within the team, like, within the culture, but also with people, because, we're human. And as you say, we go to the office a few hours a day, but like it's not our whole life. So
Yeah.
building that trust, and sometimes it is about maybe, if it's appropriate, talking a little about something that you've been through, but in the context of the conversation with somebody. It's not, again, as you mentioned, that necessarily you're just expressing your whole identity crisis in the Wednesday meeting. Uh,
That's a lot.
so
That's a lot.
starting small, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Starting small and identifying the context, and I think it goes a long way, and it's also about seeing, what what you're comfortable with, like doing something that you're not necessarily like comfortable with is not also shows. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And people sense if it's real or not. And I think it's okay to start small. If you're not known for being like vulnerable with your team, it's never too late to start. But rather than just go in and start sharing and they're like, what happened to Nancy? Who is this person? Um, just have the honest conversation. Look, I know things have been, hard here and we're all feeling weird about going back to the office or whatever the change is. So one of the things I want to do is make sure this is a safe space. And, if anybody has something really important, that we can say it in the context here. So going forward, I hear you and I want to try to rectify it. So have the conversation. Don't shy away from the conversation. Because I think sometimes when we really want something, we might just go into it. But you have to understand, when trust isn't there, we have to start with the basics of just, hey, I know we haven't always had these conversations, but I'm hearing from you that it matters and that I want to try to do that. So just be honest. That's where the truth and the
Yeah.
honesty,
Yeah.
and even if it feels awkward, you can just say that. Look, I'm sorry, I haven't been there. It's awkward. And I apologize, but I want to try to make it right. That is a breath of fresh air. And that's where that kind of conversation starts, I think.
I think it's such great advice, and that's such a great way of incorporating what you mentioned, that truth, and that also creates an opportunity for co-creation,
Yes.
because when you talk about what you're like, let's have these conversations. How do you feel about it, right? Like really, like bring people into co-creating that together, because you cannot create trust just on your own. You cannot create those conversations on your own. It's not all about you. It's really about engaging people into that as well, and making them feel comfortable, and that creates that opportunity to check the pulse as well, and bring people, because when just in general, when it comes to building a culture, I always talk about, well, let's talk about the team, about what culture do they want as well, because it's not about you just imposing the culture if they're not in it. It's not
Right.
about you and what you want. Like, it's about how the team is actually moving toward the objectives together. And that always also makes it a lot, that releases the pressure, and that makes it easier
Mm.
to move forward towards a shared goal, to actually uh create that. And what is better, for connection than co-creating together.
Absolutely. That's why we love improv so much. We're co-creating and it's not imposed. It's like and conversations are co-created. I mean, this is all improv and we're that is exactly right. And I think that's why, humor that brings people together as a group is so much more bonding when it comes to
Yeah.
trust. And I know we get excited and we think, stand up is sexy, but in group situations, I think, improv is a lot more, I think, instructive, in many ways, because we're talking about the team. We're talking about the team looking great and contributing. And that I think is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so improv. I'm in love with the yes and. I include it everywhere I can. And something that is very, very
Mhm.
helpful in terms of, conversation is the yes and. Yes, yes. I love that. Yes,
Yes,
and
and
you.
yes,
Yes,
and
and you. Oh,
yourself.
yeah,
You have
you
to
said yourself. Exactly. Okay, perfect. That's what I was going. I was going, like, tell me more about how you include the yes and I'd love to know that.
Yeah. I think a lot of times too, we're so afraid to like show up as we are. And there is fear. I have to acknowledge there is a lot of fear. And I think the part of the fear is that it's a mindset thing. And when we laugh and we yes and ourselves, we get stronger. Just even one idea at a time. Like, I have an idea for something, I'm going to go do it. When we don't wait for permission, when we just little things can get us out of this fear of holding back. And the beauty about yes anding ourselves is that I think when we yes and ourselves and our own ideas, I think we're more likely to yes and other people. But we talk about yes anding other people all the time. And I think that's so important. You and I both know that as improvisers, it's super important to yes and others' ideas. And we could create something great if we didn't yes but ourselves to death. But how often do we yes but we shouldn't do that to other people, but why are we okay doing it to ourselves? And I think that's really probably the biggest area of fear that people have is, I will look silly. And I think that keeps people from then yes-anding outwardly. I think that's where it starts, is really in my work. I think getting people to understand it's okay to yes-and yourself. Maybe not on every idea all the time, all day, but most of the time we are butting ourselves and we're not even realizing it, I think.
Yeah. I love that you say that, because that's the number one objection. Like, yeah, but you cannot say yes and all the time. Yeah, and neither should you. Like, I mean, it's not about that. It's a tool. The thing is that when you realize that you're butting all the time, then it's like that's also not useful. So, what about adding one more tool to your toolbox? And absolutely, the yes, and what I love about it is just freezing on the judgment for a second. Like, yes, and I'm just bypassing that or delaying it, because the judgment can be helpful too. It depends on what the situation. But of course, if we're judging ourselves all day and like, this is not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, we're more likely to judge others. Like, that is how it is. So we're kind of like, what I'm hearing from what you're saying, and it's so true.
Yeah.
Like, you can practice the yes and on yourself, and once you do that, and you're more open, and you're open to your own ideas, and just in general, like also with problem
Yeah.
solving, then it's a lot easier to collaborate with people.
Yeah. I don't know too many people that are unkind to everyone else who are kind to themselves. It usually starts with how we treat ourselves, right? And that's the whole point, is that everything else is a projection. And I think that compassion begins at home with ourselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I love this conversation. We're like going like right into the no. I mean, it is true, and I even use the yes and in terms of compassion and like all of our negative thoughts, right? Like being able to actually accept our negative thoughts without judgment, and not necessarily expanding them, but just thinking like, where do I go from now? Like, instead of actually denying it, it's like, no, I'm not having that, or really accepting without judgment, and like,
Yeah.
what do I choose now that I know that this information is there, right?
You
Like,
mean
because go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we're not supposed to be toxically positive all the time and deny that we feel this way. I mean, it's so true though. What you're saying is so profound, and I love it. And I think we need to highlight that. It's like, we're not, yes and does not mean we're bots and we're going to deny that we feel a certain way. Some days we feel crappy and lousy, and it's okay to yes and your feelings. We don't want to stay there. It's like visiting like your relatives. Like, sometimes you have to make the trip, but you don't want to live there. So it's okay to acknowledge that you don't feel a certain way. Don't beat yourself up about it. But I think there's a lot of this toxic positivity that's like, oh, I've got to be a yes and robot. No, nobody's asking you that. Just like, yes and that we should totally jump off bridges. Yes and we should, that's not what we're saying.
Absolutely. And also it's kind of like, no, I don't feel like that. Like, I'm strong and I feel great right now. And then,
Exactly.
that's actually what leads you to jump off the bridge directly, to,
Right.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much depth. There's so much depth to the yes. And
Mhm.
Kathy, we're
Yeah.
already at 39 minutes, so
How
we're
can
gonna
that be?
play a game. But
Okay.
before we start playing, I mean, I feel that this is all very playful already, but even though deep, but those two those two are not mutually exclusive.
No, they're not.
But I before that, tell us more about where can we find more of your awesomeness before we get into the game.
Yes, you can connect with me lots of ways on LinkedIn, on Insta. You can go to keepingithuman.com. There's a lot
Human.
of ways to connect, say hello. We can chat.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And what about your book? I see it behind you.
I'm
Stop
a
boring me.
boy. What? Oh, that thing.
Oh, yeah. It
Yeah.
just happens to
Um,
be there.
That's it. Yeah. That's my last book, Stop Boring Me. It's all about how to use humor and some stand-ups and sketch tools to think differently, come up with new ideas. And the best way to, I think, change your framing of what's possible is to start thinking differently. And that'll give you some tools to do that. It's fun, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Highly recommended. Also, so the links to how to reach you, the podcast, not the podcast, sorry, but you also have a podcast. You have a live show.
I do. I have a podcast, and this podcast is all about humor and women, and all about sort of how women own it. And I think it was really important for me to talk to women because I just didn't see that in the world, and I felt like it should exist in the world. So
Oh yeah, damn
yeah,
right. And loud.
and
Absolutely. All right.
loud.
Yeah, and loudly so.
At least
Um, yeah, perfect. So links in the description of the podcast or the live, however you're consuming this content that we're creating with love. All right, so let's play now. Interlude. Go
Mhm.
to the play interlude. Woo, woo. Okay, great. So here's what we're gonna play. We're gonna play an improv game that is called Problem Object Justification. Now, because we're two, well, one is gonna be player A, the other one will be player B. Player A is going to mention a problem that they have. Doesn't have to be a complex problem, could be any problem. This is only for fun. Player B will come up with three objects that are completely unrelated to the problem. In fact, I suggest that player B already thinks of objects before they hear the problem. And they will mention that to player A, and player A will justify why these three objects are the perfect things that will help solve that problem. It's a great yes and game of whatever happens, I'm gonna yes and it. And of course, it doesn't have to be scientifically proven. All right, it's just for fun. It's just for us to have a laugh. Yeah, that's it. Let's do it. Who do you want to be? Player A, player B to start? Do you have a
Oh,
problem you want to share?
yeah, I'll be player A to start. Yeah,
Okay, great.
I am having a hard time getting spots in my shower. You know where that mildew gets in those little crevices? I
Yeah,
can't get that out.
yeah. Oh, that's a bummer, but I have exactly what you need. Okay,
Okay.
you're gonna need some red lipstick. You're gonna need a card, and you're gonna need one of those like pins thing for hair.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
how you say that in English. Just a
yeah, the
hair
little
stuff.
hair scrunchy thingies.
Yeah,
It's a thingy.
it's a thingy, a hair thingy. You're gonna
A hair
need that too.
Actually, these are very handy tools because I think the red lipstick puts me in that right frame of mind. It's like, I can do this. Mildew, you think you're hot? This is hot. You don't know what's about to come your way. So you need to back it up. I'm coming for you, Mildew. Nothing personal. And I think the card, I think that's nice. I feel like I need cards of inspiration. It's like, oh, roses are red. Violets are blue. That mildew's gone. And soon
Yeah,
you'll be too. I feel like
yeah,
that's a bit of inspiration as I'm going in there with my gloves to clean. And I need that. And I think the hair scrunchie is really important. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like I want to look nice with the lipstick and I got to go in there with my best, but my hair needs to be back because, I got to see what I'm doing. It's like surgery. It's mildew surgery, and I can't have this hair all over the place. So I got to go in with my best self. And that's perfect for solving that problem. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so impressed at the poem you just made up right now about mildew. That was beautiful. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. Those were the perfect objects. Great. But Kathy, you know what? I have a problem. So I'm late for a meeting, and my car is down. I can't. My car is broken, and I can't get there on my car. I don't know what to do.
Okay, I hear you. And I think I have some things that can totally help you. And I know you got this.
Okay.
Post-it notes.
Okay.
Post-it notes. A pen.
Uh-huh.
A pen. And this thing has helped me through so many things. This thing right here.
Yes.
This little finger puppet. You need a finger puppet. That will help you.
And a finger puppet. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So glad you brought that up. Okay. Because I totally know how I'm going to solve this now. So first of all, I am going to make a puppet show. Okay, I'm going to sell my services for a taxi ride. Okay, because I also forgot my wallet. So I'm just going to write a puppet show on the post-it. Actually, I think I'm going to write one letter per post-it so that it's like, big. You can see it from the road, like what is happening, right? Just going to put it all over me, post it all over me. I'm going to be my own sandwich person, but it's going to be a post-it person to advertise the puppet show. And then for a car ride, like an exchange. And then I'm going to use the puppet to entertain the crowd and anybody who would want to give me a ride for my meeting. And I know guaranteed that this is the best way to get to my meeting. Maybe a little bit late, but that's fine because at least I'm going to be there. I mean, I can do a puppet show when I'm there to entertain them, right? They could compensate for the lost time. I think this is a win-win. It's a win-win.
I think it's beautiful. I think you could even do like an interpretive dance apology for being late with a puppet show, and I think it's beautiful. I was moved. I was moved by what you just said.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have another problem for me?
Yeah. So, okay. I need to be in two places at once. I double booked myself. And, I'm not sure how to get out of that. What do I do?
Yeah. So that happened to my Auntie Sally. Anyway, three like very specific things. So you're going to need an adaptator, one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need a lamp.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to need a rabbit paw.
A rabbit paw. Oh, yes. That makes so much sense because I think the rabbit paw is for good luck. And I think we need that. Well, not for the rabbit, but I mean, for me and for everybody else, I think that is just that and it's sweet and it's soft. It makes me happy, even when I'm stressed. But this makes so much sense. And the adapter makes total sense. I mean, I think I could plug it in wherever I'm at. And I think I could like hack a system to like create like a hologram. Like, I feel like I could code a hologram to project myself into this other place. And I feel like a lamp would just illuminate it, make it brighter and bolder. And that would be, they would get the best of both worlds. I would be less stressed in one place. And then I would be projecting this completely illuminated version of myself into the next place. With my rabbit paw, of course, and spread goodwill wherever I am. So thank you. That was so helpful.
Yeah, the hologram thing, absolutely. We need more of that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is perfect. Okay, so there's a last thing I'd like your help on. I'm making a cake, but I have no sugar. Ooh. So I don't know. I thought I would ask you. You probably would know what to do. What could I
Oh,
use?
I got you covered, girl. First of all, you're going to need your Blue Yeti mic. I have a podcast mic. You're going to
Yeah.
need that. You got to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to have your USB. I know it sounds crazy now, but you need this. And
No,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
do in times like this when I am like sugarless? I
Yeah.
need my coffee mug.
Coffee mug.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God, I knew you would be the right person to ask for this.
Oh,
Like, I seriously, so helpful. So this mic is it's so potent. This is such a potent mic, right? So actually, I can definitely use this in order to uh I would turn the volume up, and I would just ask for sugar. I would ask for sugar in the, like, so loud from my balcony, ask for sugar.
mhm.
And then when people are throwing the sugar at me, exact like this. But like, I think with the hand movement, it's also very potent. Yeah. Sugar, please. And then when people are throwing sugar at me, I can take the coffee mug and catch it with the coffee mug. Right. Absolutely. And the USB, little known fact, in the USB, there's a side that there's a little like rectangular hole, right? Like, that you need to plug in. Yeah, well, that you can use that as a spoon. So I would actually use this to put the right amount of USB spoons in my cake. So that's the measuring tool of the future. Yeah. So that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Woo! Oh my gosh, problem solved.
Yeah, probably.
We did it.
I think that was one of the best, like, I would, that was one of the best problem object justification game that, like, in general, that I've seen on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Love it.
So
It's
many
so fun.
problems solved, but it was so fun to play with you.
We could do world peace. I think we could also solve world peace with some of these objects. I feel that way.
I think so. I think that if we also put all of them together, it'd be like, we would. I think that it's achievable. Hope we're not insulting anybody saying this, but yeah. All right. Kathy, thank you so much for being on the show. I encourage you at home to follow Kathy if you're not already, if you're just missing out. And reach out. And is there any more stand-up classes coming up?
I do have a couple things coming up. Yes, I do have this summer. I have one that's really more for like kind of businessy. It's more like storytelling, but we're going to use humor to punch up your storytelling ability. And as Genevieve knows, I have a stand up for your voice course, which is if you really want to learn stand up. Now, it's not for stand up comedians, but you can learn how to use stand up tools for your own writing, for your own content creation, all that other stuff. And it will start this summer. So if you want to know more, connect with me on LinkedIn and I'll keep you up to date when the link's up.
Cool. Yes. And because that's the whole thing of, it's different, the stand up and then using the tools. The tools are so helpful in so many ways.
Yes.
And that's perfect for that. Very practical course. Highly recommend it. All right. Well, stay joyful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. For you at home, we're going into the outro. Let's do it. You for listening to the Mint Green Ukulele podcast. Now, what is your question around reducing stress, increasing productivity, or leading effectively without sacrificing joy in your life? Well, you can submit your question anonymously for me and my guests to tackle them, and you can do so at mintgreen.show. This just in. Opposite Day starts in 3, 2, 1. Not okay. All right, so don't subscribe. Don't follow, don't like, don't eat your veggies, don't call your mom. Those things are just bad for you. And don't you even think about following or connecting on LinkedIn. It's not like I post comedy videos that people are raving about. No thanks. All right, so no thank you, and bye.